Hello, and welcome to the second video in the series from Thomistic Metaphysics on tradition and truth here. My name's Walker. Thanks for joining in. On this channel, we talk about all things theology and philosophy related. Today, we are going into St. Thomas Aquinas and his works on the metaphysics, and specifically, I'm going to be joining you with this book. So for this series, if you feel like pausing here and ordering this book, I would do it. This is an amazing book. It's by Father Norris Clark. It is called The One and the Many, A Contemporary Thomistic Metaphysics. And throughout this series, I'm just going to be following along with this book essentially, and just teaching from what I have read and understand of the Thomistic Metaphysics. I will start this series by saying that I am not an expert in Thomistic Metaphysics. It's not my field of study. It is a very interesting field of study, but there are many concepts that I cannot expand upon. This is a very entry beginner level course, so just take with that what you will. If you're just interested in brushing the surface, this is a great series for you, but if you already have a very good foundation of Thomistic metaphysics or even just metaphysics in general, this may not be the best course for you unless you're just specifically looking for the St. Thomas Aquinas take on metaphysics. Unity and diversity in reality. This is where we start. We're going to be looking at why does reality contain both unity and diversity. You have people like Parmenides who lean towards a radical unity. Change and plurality are illusions. Then you have other viewpoints like Heraclitus who lean towards a radical flux. Everything flows and nothing is stable. And that's where you get school of thoughts like you never bathe in the same river twice. Then you have Plato and Aristotle who attempt synthesis. And then you have St. Thomas Aquinas who inherits and deepens that synthesis. And you'll learn in this series that Aquinas, St. Thomas Aquinas, I feel weird just saying Aquinas. It doesn't feel like I'm respecting the name, right? The church doctor. But anyways, when we look at St. Thomas Aquinas, we are going to learn that he is very heavily influenced by Aristotelian style philosophy, and he often refers to him as the philosopher. And that's so anytime you read his works and he says the philosopher, that's usually referring to Aristotle. So essentially, by looking at St. Thomas Aquinas and looking at Aristotle, we're looking at like a 2,500 year conversation here. So in our introduction video, we said metaphysics is the study of being, and we're going to expand on that for a moment. So the technical term is being qua being, or being as being. So you have sciences like biology and math and physics and all these other different sciences that study specific subjects, but metaphysics really encompasses it all. And what is being itself? And so I am a being, a substance, and then I'm composed of accidents, and we'll get into all that later, but what am I? What is this? The existence itself. And then you have the greater encompassing of what is all of being, and that's what metaphysics studies. So in this video, we're going to try to focus that a little bit more and say, what is being like? So when we ask what is being like, we're going to notice something strange. Reality is composed of many distinct things, and those things share common features. And individual things themselves possess internal unity, such as a tree is one tree made of many parts. You can look at the branches, the roots, the bark, the inner circles, and then the sap that flows throughout the tree. Humanity is many humans, I said that weird, sharing one nature. And then the universe is many beings forming one cosmos. There's a lot of unity, and that's what we're really focusing on here, is the unity. So to exist is to say that something is able to be undivided at some point. Now, we can look at the physics of this and say that we can get down to subatomic particles, quarks, Q-U-A-R-K-S, I believe is what they're called. And that's, from what I understand in quantum physics, is one of the lowest forms of subatomic particles that we have. And so eventually, now the number is so massive, my tiny little human brain cannot comprehend how massive it is, but eventually you can get to a point to where you are no longer dividable. So as we begin to dive into this, I have a few things to say. Everything around you is both one and many. Your person is one body composed of many parts. Humanity is many individuals sharing one nature. And the purpose of this is to ask, why is reality structured this way? All right, so let's dive in. So I want you to kind of just look around you for a moment. Just kind of taking in things. Everything around you appears to be one thing. This monitor is one thing, this computer is one thing, my camera is one thing, my glasses are one thing. I am one thing. My art behind me is one thing. But there's many different art pieces behind me, but each one is an individual thing. A chair is a chair, a tree is a tree, a frog is a frog, a song is a song. But let's look a little closer. We're going to see the strangeness within. The chair is made of many parts. I'm sitting on this chair. It's got bolts, nuts, screws, wheels, armchair rest, fabric. There's a lot of different parts to it. Me as a human, you as a human, unless you're an alien watching this, which awesome, you probably know more about metaphysics than I do, which is assuming an awful lot, and they say things about assuming, but anyways, I have arms, I have legs, I have toes and fingers, I have, if you want to get biological, I have organs, and then you can get into the pathology of the blood and the hormones and all this other stuff, right? Like I have many parts, but I am one. Both the one and the many. I'm going to say that this is not a problem that was introduced by philosophers. It's a feature of experience itself. See, philosophy has this way of just questioning what is. It's not that it invents new ways to think. It just takes what already exists and it expands upon it. And that's what metaphysics really does. It takes what is here and explains it further. In short, I'm just saying reality constantly presents itself as unity within multiplicity. And the moment you notice this, metaphysics has already begun. Metaphysics happens every day in our everyday lives. Most people perform metaphysical thoughts without ever thinking about it. The moment you begin to question reality on any level is the moment you begin with metaphysical thought. So whenever you have a near-death experience or perhaps a traumatic event or an existential crisis, you are experiencing a level of metaphysics. Now, how your brain goes with that, your neuroplasticity and the way that you angle your thought is the way that you begin to form which school of metaphysical thought you go after. And I tend to try to push my neuroplasticity towards a more positive outlook, and I always try to aim it towards God. I say all this to say that oftentimes when metaphysics is explained to individuals, I think there's a lot of circular talk or word soup, as some people call it. They just form a lot of very large words. They're like, oh, this is analogical, and I get it. And you may understand those words. Good for you if you do. But the problem with that is you're taking this science and you're making it overly technical. Now, of course, we can do that. And more advanced forms of metaphysics later on, advanced Thomistic Metaphysics, it may be necessary to use those words. My goal with this series is I'm going to use this word cautiously. I'm not calling you dumb, but I'm just saying we're going to dumb it down, okay? And that's not for you, it's for me. I need to dumb it down. I need to simplify what I'm teaching so that I know it's able to be grasped fully. So when I explain metaphysics to you, I'm not trying to overcomplicate this. I'm just trying to get you to notice something very obvious. You just haven't examined it yet. It has went unexamined. So ask yourself, are things one or are they many? So we can look at the human body and know that the human body is composed of trillions of cells, okay? And I'm not trying to overcomplicate it, but that's the simplest form of saying that. I'm not going to get into the different types of DNA strands and whatever else. Just know that there's trillions of cells in your body, and that's what composes you. Now, to simplify that even further, you have arms, legs, digits, things we've already talked about. So you have many parts, but yet there is a unity-style experience that we perceive. Basically saying unity is not something we infer, it is something we perceive. However, when we look at unity, we must understand the experience of multiplicity. Before we go into multiplicity, we must understand a few things. One, you can lose a leg, you can lose an arm in modern science. Now, maybe in the past it would have been a little different, but in modern science, it is possible to lose limbs, digits, whatever else, some organs, and still live. Because you are not your leg. You are not every single part of you that forms the unity that you are, the one being. However, in multiplicity, we must understand that there's a few things that could happen. If I remove your brain, if I remove your heart, if I remove your liver or your pancreas, the vital organs to your being, you will cease to live. You will die. If I damage your limbs, if I hurt your nerves in your body, you are now weakened. This means that the unity of you as a being does not eliminate multiplicity. You think, you feel, you speak, you choose, and you act. What I'm getting at here is reality does not force us to choose between multiplicity and unity. See, in the past, philosophers have been bad for extreme unity or extreme multiplicity. Things ever change, they're never the same, or everything is completely finite. And St. Thomas Aquinas really kind of dived in and said, no, why can it not be both? And it can, and it is, because you are one and many. Again, the book's name, it's in the title, The One and the Many. It's so simplified. It's so simple. But if you were to pick this up and just start reading it, some people wouldn't get that immediately. I didn't. It's just the way it is. So when we get into this one and many mindset, we have some problems that may arise. Your typical objections. How can a person be unified yet composed? How can a melody be one yet made of many notes? How can humanity be one nature but composed of many humans? If things are only one, diversity is now an illusion. Or, if things are only many, unity is an illusion. However, neither of those are correct. Reality resists simplification. Even though this whole series is on simplifying metaphysics in a Thomistic sense, this is a resistance. Let's base this in some history for a moment. You have individuals like Parmenides. We've mentioned him before. He emphasized unity so strongly that change in plurality seemed impossible. If reality truly is, then how could it become something else? And then on the other hand, you have Heraclitus, who emphasized change so strongly that stability seemed impossible. Everything flows, nothing remains. So you have one philosopher who sees unity everywhere. And then the other philosopher sees multiplicity in everything. Both of them are responding to the exact same experiential puzzle. But you don't need ancient philosophy to experience this problem or encounter this problem. You don't need to be wearing satin sheets in a circle somewhere in the middle of Greece and talking amongst the people about unity and multiplicity and whatever else, right? You can go into McDonald's today, and hope I don't get sued for using their name, but you can go into any fast food place today and you can look at the menu and say that's one menu, but there's many items on it. These are encounters that you can experience daily in everything that we encounter. Reality seems structured this way at every single level. And this is where metaphysics kind of arises at this point. Metaphysics is not just a speculation any longer. It actually attempts to explain the discipline. It wants to help you understand how reality can be, it can possess unity and multiplicity without any kind of contradiction. So it helps answer the questions like, what grounds the unity of a being? What explains its composition? How do parts relate to the wholes? And why do many individuals share one nature? And those questions are metaphysical before they are scientific. Science describes, or it can describe parts, but metaphysics ask what makes those parts one thing. The Aristotelian and Thomistic tradition does not deny unity or multiplicity. It helps explain both. Rather than collapsing reality into one-sided arguments of extremes, extreme unity or extreme multiplicity, it helps to develop the conceptual tools capable of accounting for structured complexity. And I'm not trying to use big words here. I hope those aren't too big, but basically it just helps you understand why both can be. So we have to look at things like substances and accidents, and these are things we're going to explore later on in more depth, of course, to help you grasp it. And again, remember, this video is the first actual video in the series. The other was an introduction, but this is just further explaining the Thomistic issue of the one and the many. It helps explain form and matter and act and potency. It helps explain essence and existence. And those are distinctions. They're not arbitrary. They arise as attempts to help explain the structure we have already noticed. As I lean towards the end of this video, I hope that I've left you with more questions than you had before, because that's exactly how it should be. You should have went into this thinking, wow, I'm going to get some answers. And then you're going to come out of this thinking, now I have more questions. And that's exactly how this works. Philosophy works that way in most levels. And so understanding that this as a first lived experience in the first video of the series, I'm touching the basics. I'm telling you what is all inside the soup, the many parts of the soup. And you, as a unity, are going to consume all those parts of the soup. But that soup is one soup. And so it has many parts, and you are about to consume all of it. And those parts are essence and substances and accidents and participation and structure of unity. And there's all these different things we're going to cover. And we're going to take now the unity of metaphysics, and we're going to break it down into all these parts, and we're going to explore the many parts of metaphysics. So I'll leave you with that, and I say thank you for watching. If you made it this far, please, please, please leave a like and comment. Ask any questions you would like to ask. Otherwise, until next time, tune in. I highly suggest you order the book if you can. If you can't, that's okay. Follow the series, take notes, and ask questions, and I'll be happy to divulge as much as I can. Until next time, God bless.